Hello everyone. In this lesson, we will look at worksheets, why they are important in delivery of effective lessons, and how to create them. A worksheet is essentially a set of prepared exercises created with the intention of indulging learners in a practice session or formative assessment session after going through a lesson. An example of a worksheet is shown here. Worksheets are a popular way of testing learners in a classroom setting. They help learners practice the concepts they have been exposed to and track their own progress. They also help teachers get an idea of how effective the lesson may have been so far, which is information they can use to alter their upcoming teaching strategies if needed. A worksheet is typically made up of at least 2 or more questions of different varieties, difficulty levels, and ideally covering skills of different Bloom's levels. They may have short answer as well as long answer questions and generally cover all topics discussed in a particular lesson. In some cases, learners may be encouraged to complete their worksheets in class, while in other cases, learners may need to complete their worksheets as part of their homework assignments. Apart from testing learners, worksheets are also sometimes used as part of a teaching strategy or an activity in case the questions or tasks included in the worksheet are suitable for the purpose. Since worksheets are such useful components of classes, academic authors such as you must be adept at creating them for the lessons that they work on. Let us now look at some things we should keep in mind while we plan and create worksheets for our lessons. Include questions from the most important part of the content. Since the primary goal behind the creation of worksheets is to give learners sufficient practice, it is advisable to always include questions in worksheets from the most important parts of the content. This would help learners focus on these areas and spend more time reviewing them. It would also help give learners an idea of the types of questions that they can expect in their summative assessments from this topic. Use direct questions wherever required. Since worksheets are intended to help learners focus on the important parts of a lesson, it might be a good idea to include some questions in them that target learners' lower order thinking skills, such as remembering and understanding. Such questions would help learners master the content first before trying to apply it in higher order questions. Focus on higher order thinking skills. Although recollection and comprehension of facts and concepts covered in a lesson are important, the real challenge for learners lies in being able to apply this knowledge in problems that involve higher order thinking skills. Hence, in a good worksheet, a good part of the questions created should aim at testing learners' higher order thinking skills, such as applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Arrange questions in their order of difficulty. A good worksheet should always contain questions covering all the important parts of its corresponding lesson, arranged in increasing order of difficulty. This difficulty level may be based on the skills focused on in each question, or may be based on the difficulty level of the concepts covered in the lesson. Another effective alternative could be to try to arrange the questions in the order of concepts discussed in the lesson first, and then, within this order, arranging questions related to each of these concepts in increasing order of their skill level. Volume of questions. This is a point of consideration that must be kept in mind not only for worksheets but also for all kinds of assessments that a teacher or a curriculum developer creates. While there should be sufficient number of questions included in a worksheet, one must take care to not include too many questions in there, which might lead to mental exhaustion in learners. Such practices can be detrimental to learning as they can gradually cause learners to shirk assessments. As we learned so far, the content created for any lesson contains more than one aspect to it, such as the actual lesson content, visual aids related to it, and its corresponding worksheets or formative assessment tools. In the upcoming lessons, we will learn how to plan a lesson or a classroom session around the learning objectives, content, and summative assessments created so far. To learn more on today's topic, explore the additional resources given near the end of this week's module. You can also use the internet to research more on the topic and should consider posting any good web links that you find to the week's general discussion forum. Thank you, and I will see you in the next lesson.